Welcome to part 3 of our Family Fixer Upper Bible Study series. Today we're talking about home security. Now this lesson is really geared towards parents, but we've also found that it's really geared towards grandparents because we know that grandparents worry about their grandchildren just as much as they did their children. So read today Psalms 127:1, and then we'll dig into this Bible study.
All right, so we're going to talk about what are the enemies of the home, because you can't fix the problem if you don't know what it is, right? Yeah. So, and we have 5 for you guys this week. The first one is busyness. Then we have self-centeredness, bitterness, laziness, and permissiveness. And I really think that these are so easy to bring into our homes because they are just that. It's easy. It's easy to think about myself first. It's easy to get busy and not look at what's actually going on. You know, if I don't want to acknowledge things that are going on in my home, I can just put another activity on it, or, you know, just pretend like it doesn't exist. These things are, I feel like, just very, very easy. We have to really make an effort to choose the hard things.
Yeah, and we were talking on the way over here, when you get with busyness, I mean, you make big sacrifices for your kids with your time and your resources. Yeah. And getting too busy to where you can't is not a positive thing. Another one that sticks out to me on there is the permissiveness. It's allowing anything to happen. We see that a lot. And when you do that and your kids have no boundaries, then it leads to really, really, really bad things.
Yeah, I think sometimes we think that discourse means that there's a problem in the home, but it's really in how we disagree. You know, like that it's definitely should be a safe place to disagree, not necessarily just a place that, since I don't want to deal with that, or I don't want to, you know, show how I feel about X, Y, and Z, we're just going to, again, ignore it or just let it happen. And really a safe place for disagreement and discourse is actually a key to, I think, a functional home. Yeah.
So if you guys will, take a second and discuss in your group any of these 5 areas. Are there any of these 5 areas that you see in your life, maybe grandparents, that you see in your grandchildren's life, that you need to make some adjustments so that you can begin to battle these enemies, these things that will tear down and destroy your home? Next, we're going to look at the elements of a safe home. That's the very thing that we all want to achieve, is to have a home that is safe. So the 5 points are 6 points. Number 1 is there is openness in communication. Number 2, there is loyalty to each member. Number 3 is there is forgiveness for failures. Number 4, there is a standard to live by. Number 5, there is a willingness to sacrifice. And number 6, there is love that is unconditional. Man, some of these really, really, really tough. The first one, though, is open communication. Parents, if you don't want to be blindsided by some of the crazy things that your kids are exposed to and can get into today, you got to have openness. You got to have time where you sit down and talk. One thing I do is I make my family sit down for dinner. And I don't force conversations, but every once in a while a conversation will come up, and it's a very positive, healthy conversation.
And I think that opportunity to just say, hey, I need some time to think about how we want to approach this as parents is really it's kind of novel. You know, we think that we need to have an answer and a reaction immediately, but showing our kids like, hey, I'm not quite sure how I feel about this, and I'm going to take some time and then come back, gives them also permission to do the same thing. So we're really exemplifying a lot of ways to interact, you know, through how we react in our home.
Yeah, and another one that really stands out to me is the forgiveness for failures. Had a conversation with my daughter just Monday on the way back from dance. She slipped and fell in her dance, and then they still made her the captain of the team for the dance competition this week, and she couldn't understand why. And I was able to tell her that one mistake should not define you. And I think sometimes our kids are afraid to make mistakes because they think the consequences are going to be so high because of the way we react. So we should allow room for failures.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the main points of safety, right? Like safety in being who I truly am, flaws and all. And so like not allowing shame to be our guidepost, that we know that we can be met with forgiveness, because that's how we as parents get to exemplify Christ too. It's not just that we are forgiven, but that we in turn forgive others. Yep.
So let's take a second in your groups with each other, your families, and examine some of these areas, these 6 points. And I know there's some areas as I'm looking at this that I need to work on. So I'm going to try to be open and honest with that and see what you need to do where you can create a safe home.
As we're wrapping up, we just also want to emphasize that we know that we talked a lot about parenting and grandparenting in this, but also this is really applicable for anyone who has a home, anyone who is establishing a family, whether it's just a husband and wife or you've been married for a long time, your kids are out of the house and you've gotten out of the routine of some of these things that were integral to those years with kids in your home. There is always room to make our homes safe and set good foundations for when we do want to add kids or bring grandkids into our home and stuff. So we just really hope that you take a lot from this. We know there's a lot of points, but they're really, really important because safety is important to all of us. And so we want to create that in our most sacred spaces.